Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today we've got a new episode of Sunday Sit Down. Well, actually, it's the first episode. Today we're going to be highlighting the biggest mistake by every Premier League club. If you enjoy any of this video, hit that subscribe button, leave a like. We're currently at 97 subscribers, trying to hit 100 here by the next week or so. Would love to be able to hit that milestone. Would be very awesome to hit. But again, breaking down every club's questionable decision from the end of the season until now. Let's get right into it. First up, we got Arsenal, and the biggest mistake Arsenal made is not signing a backup right winger or striker to back up, obviously, Havertz and Jesus, as well as giving, some depth behind Saka. Saka plays a lot of minutes. Obviously, I'm recording this Saturday afternoon, so it's in my time, after the Arsenal game, after I've seen the Villa and West Ham game as well. So just kind of give you an idea. If Arsenal parts ways with Eddie Nketiah, I would expect to see maybe Eberechi Eze come in from Crystal Palace if Arsenal are willing to pay that fee. If they want a little bit cheaper option who doesn't mind being on the bench, Simon Adingra of Brighton would be a fantastic signing for Arsenal. I think they need to go out and make one of those two signings happen if they really want to compete on all fronts this season. And, it gives some versatility. A player like Simon Adingra can play on the left and right, I believe. I know he can play on the right, or I know he can play on one. I think he can play on both wings. Let me put it that way. I can't remember exactly which wing he plays on, but I do think he would offer depth. Obviously, we saw Trossard play on the right side when he came on for Bukayo Saka against Wolves today. But let's go ahead. Let's move on to Aston Villa. Aston Villa have not been able to get John Duran to buy into their project. We saw him during the summer window doing the Hammers little sign celebration. He scored against West Ham today and missed an excellent opportunity. If he wanted to truly show Villa that he was sorry, he would have thrown up the hammer again as a sarcastic celebration. It would have been pretty funny. I do think that he's a very talented player coming from Chicago Fire. He's been at Villa for a year and a half. Coming into this season, he had only made 35 appearances in his year and a half, and he's out of that 35 appearances, even worse, just 588 minutes played for Duran. At least get him involved in cup competitions, I think, this season, and moving forward, just give him more minutes. He scored a goal. He scored the winner today against West Ham in what was a very, very good match, very tight match, a game that West Ham probably should have at least gotten a point from. John Duran was the difference maker. For Bournemouth, losing Dominic Solanke this late in the window has definitely had an impact on them. Is going to have an impact on them, I should say. We've already seen it. Today, Semenyo, obviously, who played at striker for Bournemouth, did score a goal. He scored the equalizer. Moving forward, that's not the option. Evan Nilsson coming in just a day or two later after Dominic Solanke, who was, again, a record transfer for this window. Absolutely great deal for Bournemouth to get that, sell for that price, especially in a window where it feels like people aren't spending a lot of money. But since writing the script for this video, they did sign Evan Nilsson, and I just think that he needs some time to develop, maybe a short-term loan deal for a striker or someone with experience, because, again, Semenyo just not the answer moving forward for Bournemouth at the striker spot. Brentford, just kind of a lack of business during the window. They did sign Igor Thiago as kind of a backup striker, injured immediately. I'm worried about what they're going to do at that striker position. Obviously, Ivan Toney's pretty comfortable just to play another season and leave on a free. He's going to get a big signing bonus, so he's not really too fussed about it, what happens with Brentford. I would also look at a left back. I think that a left back situation there, what do you do to back up Rico Henry, who has a history of injury problems? Their traditional signings, a player that I feel like would fit in Brentford is Ricardo Calafiori. A player that you would normally see linked to a Brentford and sign with Brentford. Ricardo Calafiori has now gone to Arsenal. These teams aren't buying from Brentford. They're going and buying the players that you would expect Brentford to buy. And so that's kind of where Brentford's running into trouble. A player like Aaron Hickey that they signed before, player that you would now see a top-level club go and sign. What does that mean for them? I think at the left back position, maybe like a Matt Target on loan as a backup for Rico Henry. Obviously, he's not even getting minutes for Newcastle right now. And then the other one, Ferdi Kadioglu of Fenerbahce. I think he's going to be very good. I think he's going to be a solid player. So I think picking him up would be a good pick for Brentford as well. Brighton, there was really no big mistakes with Brighton. I would say the only thing that's a little bit alarming is the manager they signed. So a manager without top flight experience is kind of my gripe. Fabian Herzeller Managed just 55 games at St. Pauli before taking over at Brighton. He did get them promoted to the Bundesliga before he left. At this level, could cost Brighton in the long run with his lack of experience. They might have been better off with a more seasoned manager, but you can have him for now. Can't change it. But definitely an interesting appointment to follow. Obviously, just won the match 4-0 this weekend, so I don't see it. I don't see it being as bad as maybe I thought at first when I first saw him appointed. I think Brighton are going to do just fine. They always do well with their managerial appointments, so I think Brighton will be okay. But I just think that if there was something to gripe about for Brighton, it would be that. Chelsea is yet to sign a world-class goalkeeper, and I don't know who their number one is coming into the games today. You'll obviously have seen the game by the time you watch this video. Well, maybe not. This video will be up about an hour before that game, I believe. But still no number one for Chelsea. A top-tier keeper is crucial for any sort of challenge for a European spot, and Chelsea just haven't secured it yet. I would say I can't even tell them to go find a world-class number one because they have like 7 goalkeepers on their books. So they need to sell a bunch of players before they can even think about getting a world-class number one. There's just so much wrong with Chelsea from top to bottom in that squad that they need to fix. But I would just say world-class number one, but in the meantime, sell players. Just sell a bunch of these players that you think you're going to keep loaning out to other clubs. I don't understand it. I know they've got this model with Strasbourg where they think it's going to be successful for them. It's just, I don't know what they're thinking. Crystal Palace have gone and signed replacements for Elise and Eze. You saw Daichi Kamada and Ismail Star. Kamada having played under Oliver Glasner at Frankfurt, I believe. And it just doesn't seem like a step up for Palace. It seems like they've just kind of maintained 2 players, have Elise and Eze. I just don't think these 2 are as good as. Who knows? Maybe they fit Glasner's system better, but we'll just have to wait and see, of course, what happens moving forward. Everton, same owners. You need to get new owners. Owners need to sell the club. You will be okay, though. Despite the loss to Brighton, it's not time to press the panic buttons. Everton will figure it out. Everton will stay up. I'm not even concerned about them getting relegated this season, but they do need to make a replacement in the ownership aspect of the club. So it will be very interesting to see what happens going forward for Everton from an ownership standpoint. But for now, just sell the club. Fulham have failed to replace Palhinha. Fulham's failure to replace them is a huge oversight. Who's going to anchor that midfield now for Fulham? I don't know. I don't know who's going to anchor the midfield. I think we saw Andrea Pereira playing as the 8. He's playing way too deep in that midfield. Unless I think it was him, Iwobi, and like Emil Smith Rowe. I think Iwobi may have actually been playing in a more advanced position, maybe on the left of Smith Rowe. I can't quite remember what I saw that game in the lineup. But again, there's really no true 6 in that lineup for Fulham. Maybe if you play like Harrison Reed as the 6, but is he good enough for the Premier League? No. So again, one of those that is very difficult to fix because finding a quality 6 right now in this market is very, very difficult. But Fulham need to find somebody to play in that defensive midfield role. Ipswich, your biggest problem is you should have signed a proven striker. In my opinion, you brought in Delap from City. And you brought in players on loan, but I think there could have been maybe better quality players brought in using the loan market. Misproving that signing that proven goal scorer in the Premier League. They are linked to Armando Broja, who's maybe not fully proven himself in the Premier League, but I do think he's quality. And the loan market stuff I talked about here a second ago was written in my script. I do like the appointment or the signing of Calvin Phillips on loan. I do think some of their other loans still could have been a little bit better for players that need game time, such as a player like Calvin Phillips who's got the quality. But they will need to provide chances for that striker if they do sign Armando Broja. Against Liverpool, just 0.47 expected goals. It just isn't good enough. And I think, obviously that game is against Liverpool. Liverpool's a quality team. But Ipswich need to do better creating just in general if they want to, have a chance of survival this season. Leicester's a bit of a nightmare right now as they have not backed Steve Cooper at all. Steve Cooper hasn't received that backing at all from ownership. The signings they've made just are not enough to push them back to where they want to be, which is in the Premier League. They're currently there. They had probably the best championship squad, but that doesn't mean anything if you don't improve that to be one of the best 17 Premier League sides. And a player looking for a move back to the Premier League who's been linked to his former club in the Premier League, Wilfried Zaha. Go get him. I think that you put him on the left side because right now you don't really have a true left winger at Leicester. That's of a excellent quality. Maybe one of your right wingers can play on the left for Leicester, but I say go get Wilfried Zaha. Make him come back to the Premier League. I think he's still got a lot more to show in the Premier League and a lot of creativity and attacking ability to bring to that Leicester City squad. Liverpool, similar to Fulham, shockingly, Liverpool has failed two summers in a row to get a true six in their squad. They've signed Endo. I just don't think he's the six that they would have wanted. Slot will need to pull some tricks to get this done after being rejected by Zubamendi for the second. I think Liverpool rejected for the second summer in a row by Zubamendi. Literally just find an enforcer in your midfield. There's got to be somebody there. I think that they're very weak this year, Liverpool. You've got a player like Virgil van Dijk, but Trent's weak. You've got Robertson, who's not very strong. Diaz. You've got a player like Darwin Núñez and Gakpo, who are stronger. And then Salah's not super strong on the wing. I mean, strong quality, yes, but like strength, physical strength, when you need somebody that's just physically capable of bossing a midfield, you don't have that in that current Liverpool setup, which is exactly why I think that they need to go sign an enforcer in that midfield. Manchester City, not too much to say because they haven't done too much. No changes, significant changes in the squad. We saw them sign Savio from Girona, who helped them, qualify for Champions League. Pep Guardiola's side has seen minimal changes. There's a buzz around potential exits like Ederson and De Bruyne. Are they too comfortable? There's not been a lot of changes in this squad this summer. Alvarez out the door, as well as an extreme worry for City. If I'm a City fan, I'm really worried about that. To fix this issue, you need to start with a backup to Haaland. Haaland's injury record, you just need to refresh the squad a little bit. You need somebody that can play those minutes that Haaland cannot. Obviously, it's hard to go get somebody that's extreme quality unless you pay them a ton of wages because they're not going to get the minutes they may want. You may also need a backup to Rodri as well. Calvin Phillips obviously joining Ipswich on loan. He was never going to play anyways, but you need to kind of sort out, okay, this is who's going to be our Rodri backup. Right now, I think Kovacic is probably going to be playing in that six, maybe sharing the kind of getting support from Matheus Nunes. And you've got Bernardo, who might be playing a little more wide, I don't know, on the right this year. And then obviously De Bruyne back in the team as well. So somebody's got to kind of play in that defensive role. I'm not quite sure anybody has the quality to do so. Or let me be more clear, the quality to play that defensive role, but also play the attacking balls that Rodri plays in that sixth position for City. Previously, we've seen Manchester United have been too reliant on, if a player has played under Ten Hag or if a player has played in the Eredivisie, the familiarity for Ten Hag has been more important than the profile, I think. And so you've seen players come in and be failures like Antony, Van de Beek, Malacia. They just haven't lived up to the expectations. De Ligt and Mazraoui, who have come in as well, also fit kind of that similar mold, played under Ten Hag at Ajax, and same thing with Joshua Zirkzee. However, I will say these three players probably fit the mold better, probably have better profiles. Obviously, Zirkzee scored, Mazraoui looked fantastic, De Ligt came on as a substitute for Harry Maguire. You just need to find talent in other places because eventually that well will run dry. And I think that this is kind of maybe the last time we'll see very successful or any success, from Ten Hag buying from the Eredivisie, because we haven't seen it before. This might be the only time we see it, and these three players that have joined went and played in other leagues before they even came to the Premier League. So, Van de Beek, Antony, and Malacia all came straight from the Eredivisie. Is this something we see in the future where some of these Eredivisie players go to a Bundesliga, they go to a La Liga, a Serie A, and then they come into the Premier League after they've kind of made that slow adjustment up instead of going straight from Eredivisie, jumping up to the Premier League in one jump. Up next, we have Newcastle United, and you saw it today if you watched the match. Today, I'm recording this Saturday, as I mentioned, so get Gehi over the line. Fabian Schär, absolute bonehead mistake there. if you want to get back in a European spot, you're not going to do it with Fabian Schär. Your center back position, you're going to do it with a player like Mark Gehi leading that back line, standing next to Sven Botman or someone of that quality. You're not going to do it with Fabian Schär at your center back position. I'm sorry. I know there's no European football this year, but you have to have better quality in that defense. Just full stop. Nottingham Forest, your mistake. I just don't like the signing of Nuno Espirito Santo. I think his appointment seems a bit misguided. I think when he left Tottenham for Saudi Arabia, that should have been the end of him in the Premier League. And now he's back, and I think that this is the season that Forest goes down. If the wheels fall off, have a manager ready. He's just such a negative manager. You have such great quality attacking options. You have Callum Hudson-Odoi, Morgan Gibbs-White, Anthony Alenga, Awanyi, I believe is how you pronounce his name. I can't quite remember the striker that came in from the Bundesliga. Quality players. You just need a manager that's going to play a system that fits them, and I just don't think that Nuno is going to do that. Southampton, we've got bringing Adam Lallana back has got to be one of the worst signings of the summer. It doesn't make sense to me. Even as a free transfer, they could have found a better option. It's unclear if Lallana is even going to play a significant role, making the move even more questionable. Obviously, he was injured here this game today, but again, either way, that midfield trio for Southampton was a nightmare today against Newcastle. Joe Aribo, Flynn Downs, and William Smallbone. Where is the threat? Where's the threat in that midfield? I don't see it. Maybe Joe Aribo, if any of them, offers you a threat. Tottenham's handling of Bryan Hill just hasn't made sense to me. They've loaned him out, but then when that loan finishes, so before they even loaned him out, they signed him a new contract with a $15 million release clause, $15 million release clause. What's the plan here? Why even loan him? Just sell him. Is nobody paying $15 million for him? You've just loaned him to Girona. Are they not willing to pay $15 million and just get him? It doesn't make sense. You've got a lot of dead wood. You've loaned out sold Højbjerg, which is good business. Just go ahead and get him off the books is an excellent option by Tottenham. But it just doesn't make sense to me how they're handling Bryan Hill here. Just sell him. Just sell him. End of story. I think players like that teams hold on to. I think, again, Arsenal have done an awful job of that as well. With Nketiah and Emil Smith-Rowe, I think they probably should have been sold sooner for a bit better price. I think you could have gotten last summer. You could have probably gotten $35 million for Nketiah. You could have probably gotten even more for Emil Smith-Rowe, a player, that didn't even play very much at all last season. Teams teams just hold on, especially these big six clubs, just hold on to players and loan them out way more than they need to. They just let the player go. West Ham, I actually have a check mark for you. No major issues here. I say the only thing that really worries me about this West Ham team, and it's Lopetegui's style. West Ham I actually have a check mark for. Not many issues. Lopetegui, I think the only concern is the style of play. I still see it as a step forward compared to David Moyes, but West Ham have gone and backed their guy. They've gone and done well in the transfer market. I assume these are guys that the manager wants. They fully backed him, and it's hard to find fault with their summer business. Well done. Final team we've got is Wolves, and again, just not selling the dead wood, and it's not allowing them to back Gary O'Neill. They have a decent squad, need to improve it. They've just sold, I think, $100 million in transfers in Max Kilman and Pedro Neto alone. Podence may have to step up this season if they want to have an impact from him, but he could be out the door as well. I think they need to sign one or two defenders and sign a dynamic, direct winger that can go and put an impact on these games. Because right now, there's just not very much threat in that Wolves team creatively or defensively. Right now, they've got pretty decent midfield side, pretty decent in the midfield, decent attacking options. Obviously, Larson coming in on a loan, but you still had Hwang Hee-chan and Matthias Cunha as well. But I think you just need to go make 2-3 signings before this window closes and bring in some players that can back Gary O'Neill, because if not, Wolves, you could be in trouble. But anyways, guys, that's the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like down below. Hit that subscribe button. Again, hitting close to 100 subscribers. Would love to hit it soon. And hit that like button. See you guys Tuesday for the next video. It's going to be a new series called The Breakdown. So we're going Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. If you didn't see, or excuse me, Tuesday, Friday, Sunday. So that's when our uploads will be, our new upload schedule. We were doing twice a week. Now we're doing 3 days a week. And I'm super excited about the new series, The Breakdown. We're going to be breaking down everything that happened this week in the Premier League. So who's not going to be excited about that? We've got a game Monday. I'm going to record it right after the game Monday. And then we're going to talk about, whatever the hot topic of this week is. I think that I know what it's going to be. I don't want to spoil anything just in case I end up changing my mind. But I hope to see you guys then, and you'll find out there. So I'll see you guys soon. Peace.